There we go. All right. Hello, I am Allison with Going Beyond the Pink, and tonight we have another food demonstration with Food with Strength. We are doing smoothies tonight. I personally love smoothies. I drink one all the time. And we have some guests here tonight with Food with Strength. So not only do we have Ryan and Susanna, but we also are joined by their two children for a little bit. So welcome, guys. We're so excited to get started tonight.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Thanks for introducing us. For those of you that don't know, I'm Ryan. This is Susanna.
Hi.
We're the owners and operators of Food with Strength. We're both registered dietitians. If you ever have any questions about nutrition or anything related to nutrition and cancer, we're happy to answer them as best as we can. Just send us a message. Go over to foodwithstrength.com, click on the contact us page, and just send us a message there. We're happy to answer it for you. But either way, so kind of what Allison was talking about, we're talking about smoothies today, and this is kind of, we'll get into more about why we would recommend having a smoothie on different times when you're going through cancer treatment or recovery, or even just, it's really hot right now. Technically not hot right now if you're in Wilmington, but definitely was a couple of days ago. And it's going to be hot again soon because it is Wilmington and it's August. But this is Drexel. This is August. We're going to do the food demo real fast, and then we'll switch over, and it'll just be me. We'll talk a little while, but let Sue talk a little bit just for about the food demo stuff, and then Drexel will help her out.
Okay, yeah, actually, Drexel, can you show us what we have?
We got yogurt and pineapple and play measure and a tablespoon.
Measuring cup. Yep. So per usual, our MO for food demos and just food choices in general is to always try to maximize fruits and vegetables. And today we're going to bring in a little bit of lean protein. So we are going to highlight some things that are going to be particularly helpful for folks who are undergoing chemo treatment, right? So there is a recommendation to emphasize things like citrus foods. So we already have a smoothie prepared for you that's got some of that in it. Pineapple, similar type of food with lots of vitamin C. We've got some spinach that we're going to throw in to sneak in some veggies. And smoothies are great because they're super easy. You just dump them in a blender and you go. I will highlight like our particular preferred ratios of things, but you can kind of do this any way that you'd like. Could you get milk too? Is that yeah, milk too. So I'm gonna stay sitting. So one of my favorite types of yogurt, I'm just going to dive right in, is the Chobani because it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners in it, and it's sort of naturally sweet. So it's got a little bit of added sugar in it, but not a ton. It's pretty good as far as it goes. I usually go for the fat-free. We're doing coconut today though, and you can't get it fat-free, so I decided to splurge because I really love the coconut flavor. Okay, help me put it in, buddy. Help me put it in. You gotta use your spoon. Use your spoon. Put it in. Your scoopula, your scrapula. So this is Greek yogurt. It's got lots of protein in it compared to non-Greek varieties. You don't have to do Greek. You're still going to get a little bit of protein. Ryan is going to talk a little bit about how smoothies might be a nice high protein snack or almost meal replacement option. And so if you're going to go a meal replacement type route, it's nice to have something that's got a lot of protein in it. Right, buddy? It's nice to have a lot of protein in it. Would you like to taste this yogurt?
And yogurt is such an easy additive too, because you can't always taste the flavor in it. It's kind of like having fruits and vegetables for your children.
Totally. And we actually opted for something this time around that has a pretty strong flavor because it's coconut flavored. Thank goodness we're just gonna have this as a family. We're not preparing this smoothie for other people, but my vanilla or plain yogurt is a really easy way to go. We've got lots of sweet stuff in here, so we're not going to add any sweeteners because the fruit that we're using is pretty naturally sweet. The yogurt does that if you opt for something that is the flavor. And we're going with a pretty strong flavor coconut, but like yogurt would be, or excuse me, vanilla yogurt would be like a milder flavor that you can mix into pretty much anything.
Right.
Drexel's approximating about half of a banana that we have sliced up and frozen in the freezer. You don't have to do that. You don't have to freeze it ahead of time. I'm lazy, so I don't, but we did it. I did it for Ryan because he asked for that specifically. So it was a labor of love. And then this is a half cup. So I just measured out half of a cup of chunks of pineapple. I haven't committed to memory serving sizes of every single fruit on the planet, but if I was going to take like a wild stab in the dark, it would probably be half of a cup cut up. Like, that's probably a good estimate for a serving of fruit. So we've got about 2 servings of fruit in here. If you're having a hard time getting enough food during the day because of nausea or whatever, this is a really easy way to sneak it in. Like, you've got the 2 servings of fruit for the day that you need in this one smoothie. So anyway, that's approximately, we have half of a banana, half of a cup of pineapple. It's about 2 servings of fruit. Ryan is just eyeballing handfuls of spinach. This is our sneaky vegetable. It is going to turn the smoothie nicely green. Again, it's hard to taste because of the flavors of the other things. And so you don't have to do it, but you can, especially if you're trying to get enough stuff in. I want to put milk in it too. Oh, Ryan already put milk in it. He's taken my blender away from me. He's gonna put it on the stand and he's gonna mix it up until it's nicely green. I think we're gonna switch to another device so that you can see it. Ryan, you tell me when you're there. What do you think so far? Do you do
dogs be buying?
But I think it's upside down. He's thinking about it. You are. It's upside down, babe.
Okay, hold on. I don't know why it's upside down.
It's all good. Technical difficulties happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it totally? It doesn't look upside down.
It's like angled. It's like a really nice sideways angle. That is much better, I think.
There we go. We've got our little helper down there.
Are you helping with the blending? It's really loud, so pardon the noise.
No, it's all good. I can't even hear a thing. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay, Ryan says it's loud over there. I don't know if you guys can see a good shot of it yet, but it is going to turn like a really nice bright green color, which I love. And I wish you guys could taste test it one day after COVID is over. What will you do? What, Ryan?
And so you said that this smoothie isn't requiring any added sweeteners, but what are your favorite added sweeteners if you were to add something? Do you have like a top 3?
Yeah, I actually, so, you know, it's a funny question to ask. I don't know if my answer will surprise you. I like to add a banana, right? So that's not technically a sweetener, but it's a really sweet fruit. It gives like this really good texture and also sweetness to most smoothies. It's a necessity for all smoothies that I make. However, it does add banana flavor. So if you're not like a banana flavor person, don't do that. Something else that's nice that will add some sweetness. I like the agave nectars and honey as like moderation, and moderation is sweeteners. Nutritionally, there's not a huge amount that's different between them, a 2-year-old in the kitchen, between them and like table sugar, honestly, nutritionally speaking. And so even if you do opt for those as sweeteners, add them sparingly. If you want to go for like a calorie-free type sweetener, like a natural thing that I would encourage is like your truvia or monk fruit or stevia. Those are good options. And then something that we were doing a little bit of smoothie research, and something that I've never tried before, but I would throw out there are figs. I've never tried it in a smoothie before, right? But I love figs. Like, I just love it in general. Anybody who's feeling, thank you for bringing my headband. Anybody who's feeling adventurous, I might try a fig. So bananas, honey or agave nectar, calorie-free versions would be like monk fruit or truvia or stevia. And and then maybe figs if you're feeling adventuresome.
Yeah, I've never
So
tried
here-
these, so.
Yeah, I haven't either. It would be worth it. We didn't give ourselves enough time to try all in one. Oh, are you
All
gonna
right,
sip
so
one?
this is the pineapple with spinach
This is.
and the coconut. You can kind of see it. Sorry, our light's like dimming over there, but it's a really bright green color. You can definitely taste the pineapple and the coconut over the spinach, which is really nice and beneficial. But the only downside with adding spinach here is you're getting, because it's blended up, you're not getting as much fiber. You'll get a lot of the nutrients out of it, but you won't get as much of the fiber pieces because it's broken down. And also, if you want it to be thicker, you can add ice to it and that'll clump it up a little bit more.
Kind of like froth it up.
But then also, as that melts and gets warmer, it's going to be more liquidy. And then if you want it to be smoother, you could strain it all. You're just getting
we made 2 varieties, right? We made a pineapple, coconut, spinach, banana flavor, but then we talked about how citrus fruit is a good option for folks who are undergoing chemotherapy. And so this is an orange creamsicle flavor. This has vanilla yogurt and an orange and half of a banana in it. It's pulpy. So if you're a pulpy person, if you like pulp, go for it. If you're not, I'd throw it through a quick strainer and it would be smooth and delicious. But yeah, I think that they turned out pretty good. I drink them.
Oh yeah, that looks.
That's what you like.
How's it been?
Very good.
It's good. All right. All right, the kids are gonna make their exit for bath time. We'll leave you guys with smoothies and some of the benefits specifically related to cancer and chemotherapy treatment and how these could be a helpful tool.
All right, you can see you later.
Great.
See you later.
Bath
All
time,
right,
bud.
it's bath time.
Bye.
Hold on.
Yeah, we're
You're
gonna
okay.
take it in.
Put 2 hands on the cup.
Bye, buddy.
Hey,
See
bye.
you later, Drexel.
Goodbye. All right, we might sit down.
Yeah, they might sit down and watch me instead. So just to finish that smoothie. So one of the things that we were talking about there is the importance of getting fluids and things in. When we're talking about smoothies, so I'm going to adjust these cameras that way. I can be in the line there. With smoothies and cancer treatment. So one of the things you got to be mindful of a lot of times with smoothies, they're going to put a lot of specific fruits in there where you might get too many antioxidants, and sometimes that can combat the chemotherapy if you're currently going through chemotherapy. And it's really within like the first 48 hours of chemo. So if you're getting a round of chemo and you go in, you get your infusion, it's really within those first 48 hours, you got to be the most mindful of having too many antioxidants. So for reference, you can have like a half cup of blueberries probably, but you wouldn't want to do like 2 cups of blueberries, right? Just you end up getting too much of that, and that can combat the chemotherapy, which is the whole purpose, right? You're trying to fight cancer. You don't want to stop. But outside of that, let's say you are in the post that 48 hours and you're at home, but you're still feeling nauseated a little bit. Maybe it's still hard to get up and walk around. You just don't feel like doing anything. This is something you can make ahead of time and put in your refrigerator, and it's still going to be good. At most, you might have to stir it up with a spoon or something, but it's still going to give you all of the protein and all of the nutrients and the additional fluids that you need while you are recovering from your chemotherapy. And then additionally, this is, let's say it's the summertime, like it's hot right now, and you have fully recovered, you're surviving and thriving. This is a quick, easy thing to make ahead of time, just to have available for you when you get back. But that's kind of the bigger piece of it. And what Susanna was talking about earlier, like the emphasis of citrus fruits is because of those extra vitamins that are in those. And then again, if you don't strain it out, you're going to get a little bit more of the fiber, a little bit of the pulp that's in there, but it's not necessarily going to give you the same benefits as eating a whole piece of fruit.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Either way, kind of piggybacking on what we were talking about last week with the hydration stuff, you're going to get fluid in there. And if you add additional ice, that ice itself, as it melts, is going to count towards all your fluid, even as it's ice. But get it in your mouth, it melts, it's fluid that's going to be added for you. And this is not one of those things where you talked about it last week, Allison. Or last time. This isn't one of those things where you can eat your water. Like that doesn't count. This isn't eating your water. This is just drinking it. So. But that's kind of the big thing. Like smoothies, quick, easy. What Susanna was talking about earlier, like simple, easy, lean source of protein. We always recommend the Greek yogurt. And somebody tried to tell me sometime that Greek yogurt isn't real yogurt. It is real yogurt. It's just double spun, so that way more of the fat and carbs are removed from it. It's not anything. That's all there. They're just able to it's kind of like skim milk where they skim the fat off. It's the same kind of instance with the Greek yogurt. It's just a process method is more developed by the Greeks, which is why it's called Greek yogurt. But they also have more goats there, so it ends up being more goat yogurt, but it's different. It's a little bit more tangy.
I love adding too is peanut butter or almond butter to my own smoothies. That's, I think, a great way for me to get protein because I don't like a lot of dairy myself. So if anybody is out there maybe looking for dairy-free option, that's my personal choice. I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, so I don't know the benefits. Can you speak to that a little bit? Is that a good option or?
Well, the one thing you got to be mindful of with peanut butter is that it's not necessarily high protein. It is a quality fat for you to have. So you got to be careful with that. If you're trying to be mindful about your calorie consumption, you got to be careful with the peanut butter, especially for people that are going through breast cancer treatment. Oftentimes you're going through some semi-menopausal state where you're not going to be burning the same amount of calories naturally as you would if you were not menopausal. So which is where a lot of times breast cancer patients are starting to gain weight just because you're in that semi-menopausal state. So you got to be mindful about the amount of peanut butter you're consuming because it's a lot higher calorie. As far as almond butter is concerned, it is a similar amount of protein as peanut butter, but it has the same issues that it's going to have the same amount of calories. So pretty close to similar calories. It's just we're trading a nut for a nut. And then as far as milk, as I also talked about, if you're trying to do something that's dairy-free, you want to lean more towards soy milk. And that's people with breast cancer freak out, soy. It's not the same kind of estrogen that is your body makes. It is a chemical isomer. So that means it's got the same chemical pieces, similar structure. So that's what makes it estrogen, but it's a different shape. So your body doesn't process it the same, especially going through your stomach and your gut lumen. It's not going to turn into estrogen in your blood. So people often freak out about that you are taking something that's suppressing your estrogen, but it's not the same. The soy is not the same. And that's where we lean towards that as far as the milk is concerned, because soy milk has a similar composition from a protein carbohydrate standpoint as regular cow's milk. Whereas things like almond milk are very, very low protein. And so we don't recommend almond milk as a substitute. Maybe it's usually around a gram of protein, whereas a cup of soy milk or a cup of cow's milk has about 8 grams of protein in it. And so there's a big, significant difference there, especially if you're counting on that as a source of protein for you. But I mean, you get the same amount of fluids, that's a benefit, but like I said, I would not recommend that as a protein substitute. And if you are trying to go further down the track of vegetables and stuff, if you're adding those things in, one thing you can think about is pre-cooking quinoa, and you can blender that up. It's not going to really it'll add kind of a nutty flavor, but it'll be definitely thicker. because it'll smooth out eventually, but it's definitely going to be a thicker smoothie in the end. But it's a complete protein in itself, so that's going to be beneficial for you. You can add other things too. You can add like tofu, or I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do beans. But that'd be super thick and kind of weird.
Nah.
But those other kind of, yeah. You can just leave the beans for your hummus. That's going to be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's interesting that I know the soy is a huge miscommunication in, the breast cancer world, because people see that and they freak out, like you said, and it's good to know that we're putting information out there that it's not the same, and that you shouldn't freak out when you see soy milk in the grocery store, because it is good for you and it is recommended.
Yeah, it is the funny thing. I mean, I'm a man, so I recall distinctly when I was in college and people were freaking out about having soy products, because especially in a athletic setting, they're all freaking out like, oh, it's got estrogen, it's gonna, I'm not gonna be able to get the full amount of testosterone. It's not the same. It doesn't matter. Which is always funny. It's like the tip of the iceberg kind of theory there, where it's like, this amount of it, but there's this large volume underneath. And it's actually the bulk of the information, and people just go right across the top. But yeah, it's a thing. It happens a lot with people inside the cancer world, especially people who go through breast cancer treatment, where soy becomes a thing that people freak out about. And then the other thing that people will get mindful of with a smoothie specifically is sugar. People are still freaking out about that. I feel like we talk about it every month, that sugar doesn't feed cancer and we don't need to worry about it. But either way, one of the things that you would be mindful of with sugar in a smoothie version is if you are having issues with your blood sugar regulation, you got to be careful with the amount of carbohydrates you have inside of a smoothie, which is the issue for that is because it's so broken down that you don't have the fiber to slow it down when it's being digested and going into your blood. So that can cause your blood sugar to bounce around a little bit. Where having more vegetables than fruit is going to help you out as far as that. And also making sure to add protein in there. You could add something like a scoop of protein powder if you wanted to. We always recommend whey protein powder. That's going to have it's the most easily digestible protein that you can purchase. It's a really rapid digestion, and it goes in and it's going to help with slowing down some of the digestion of that carbohydrates. But that does come from a cow. So if you are doing a vegetable-based protein powder, you want to look on the ingredients label, and you want to make sure that it has corn and potato proteins in there. Specifically, the thing there is that a lot of current vegetable protein powders out there has pea or rice as their top proteins. And the issue is that if they don't have enough of the amino acids to create all of the appropriate dose amount of some specific amino acids that would help do the things that you're trying to take protein powder for, which would be muscle protein synthesis, where you're creating new tissue, not cancer tissue, but as your body is fighting off cancer and working through getting rid of that abnormal tissue, it needs to recreate the tissue to help you succeed and thrive. And so that's kind of more where you would use protein in that sense. So just be mindful if you're taking a vegetable protein powder, that it's more, that has the combination of proteins. Like if it's just pea protein or if it's just rice protein, there's not enough of the amino acid chains in there. So you're going to have to get some additional protein from somewhere else.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's really good to know too, because, you talked about whey protein. So we want to look for whey protein when we go to the grocery store or Costco or Whole Foods, wherever we like to grocery shop. I've seen walls of just protein powders stacked next to each other. And it can be so intimidating because there's so many brands and sometimes you don't know what to look for. So reading those nutrition labels, like you said, really, I think helps and is good information. And looking for whey protein powder too, because I think it does distinguish that on the label on the front, which is nice. So you can just, okay, yeah, this one has whey and this one doesn't. I want this one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, I mean, I'm super biased here. So I prefer very specific brands of protein just for their flavor. I'm not getting paid by these people. But I prefer Optimum Nutrition Protein. It tastes the best to me. I have had some protein powder like days out of my life since I was like 18 and not living in my parents' house anymore. I'm 35 now, so I've had them all, right? I've had like basically everything out there. Anytime a new one comes out there, I get magical samples because of what I do. So I still feel like they ring true with the best taste. And then the other sub reason why I like them, so this is more why the bias aligns with for me. Supplements are not regulated in the United States. So basically somebody could say something is in a product and then it not be there, but it would be okay because they are not regulated. Recently, over like the last maybe decade or so, companies have been going through litigation with their label claims. And so there's a lot of protein powders and supplements that are coming off the market or suddenly increase in cost because they've been forced to actually put what they need to put in there. Like there's a specific protein powder that used to be around like $10 for 2 pounds, and now it's about $25 for 2 pounds. And that's just because they got caught doing what's called nitrogen spiking. So they would add stuff to the powder to make it appear that it has the appropriate amount of protein in it when it did not. And so then they switched it to actually putting the appropriate amount of protein in there. And so the cost of their product went up. But back to Optimum Nutrition, they've always been correct with what they've said on their label. And they are one of the many brands that are listed on nsfsport.com. And so again, that's N, like the letter N as in no, S as in Sally, F as in Frank, sport.com. So on that website, you will find things that have been third-party tested by NSF to guarantee that what they say is in them is in them. And Optimum Nutrition is one of those protein powders. There's several other brands out there. If you're trying to grab a brand and you don't know, you can quickly go to that website on your smart device and check out and see if the powder they're trying to pick up at the store. I know that it's intimidating. I go to the store and I see there's 100 new brands when you go out there. It's like, what is this one? I have to flip it over and I'll look it up.
Right.
But that'll at least give you a quick reference to where, like, if you get overwhelmed by the number of choices, you can find something that's going to be appropriate and at least say what they say when they put the example on the label.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome to know that there's a website that people can trust and look up and see, okay, this one is good to use. This one's not on their website. Maybe I should stay away from that one because, like you said, there's that whole wall and it can be scary sometimes looking at it. I've definitely been there, done that. So
yeah. I mean, I fully understand. I was actually talking with a doctor that I work with the other day, and they were looking at their things that they had just bought from Amazon, some different protein powders, and I was like, yes, no, yes, no. It's just like, they're like, what about this one? What about this one? I was like, check out on this website when you get your free time, and you can just like cross-reference yourself.
right.
It is, like I said, it's the issue with a lot of stuff is that there's plenty of information available on the internet, but you got to know where to pick and choose where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. Right. Awesome. Well, what else do we have on the agenda tonight? Anything else that we need to talk about?
Honestly, I know it was a short topic. We normally talk for like an hour, but the whole thing, like this one was one of the simpler ones. I had a patient the other day, which is kind of more what maybe talk about this, like expand on a little bit more, but they were having mouth sores, and so they couldn't tolerate a lot of food. Sometimes this happens when you have different rounds of chemotherapy. It doesn't happen for everyone. It doesn't happen for every person. So like, let's say you're on the same chemotherapy regimen for 5 rounds. I'm just throwing this out there. Maybe it'll happen on the 4th round, but it won't happen on rounds 1 through 3 or the 5th one. And so it's just like this one little acute phase. One of the issues there a lot with those things when you're having mouth sores is that foods with rough textures can be painful to eat. And also temperature sensitivities and same kind of like acidic things can sometimes cause you issues too, which is kind of where smoothies are helpful to make sure that you're getting protein in, but it's cool. So the smoothness of it too, when it's blended down, and it's only temporary. You're not going to, typically people don't have mouth sores for the full duration of their chemotherapy, but this will at least get you what you need in. So remember, this is one of the biggest things I tell people all the time. As soon as you have cancer, your body is burning more calories and protein. And as soon as you go through treatment, it's burning even more calories and protein. So you just need to keep up with that burn as best as you can. And so taking long stretches of time off from eating is going to put you further behind. So you want to make sure you're able to keep eating and keep thriving, because that's going to give you the greatest rate of success through any cancer treatment, no matter what it is. I know we're talking about breast cancer here, but it could be any cancer treatment. If you're not eating enough, then it starts becoming concerning. We got to start thinking about other ways to get nutrition in. And this could be one of those easy kind of things where if you know that you typically have an issue on days 2 and 3 following a round of chemotherapy or even radiation therapy, you can make this ahead of time in a larger picture. The things that we made in the recipe that we threw out there at the beginning, this is just one serving. Like this is one serving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you saw in the beginning, it barely took up any space in the blender. You can make that whole thing in a blender and it'll be good with the lid on. If you can fit the whole blender into your refrigerator, you can put the blender back into your refrigerator. And if you ever need to stir it back up, just put it back on the blender and press go. Let it spin, pour some out. It's going to be fine for the 4 or 5 days that it's going to sit in there. It'll start separating on like days 2 or 3. But then again, you just spin it back up.
Right.
That's the whole thing. It's just trying to make sure that you get enough in when you need to get it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so easy. You can just put it in your fridge and it's good for, I always like leave mine for, like you said, 4 or 5 days. And that way I have it for the whole work week. And then something else that I take as a trick for myself is I make pre-made smoothie bags and put them in my freezer. So I'll put, a bag of mango, banana, pineapple for like a few smoothies worth. And then I just take that bag out and put it in my blender. So if there's anybody out there looking for an even quicker way, is you can make those pre-made bags and then, you have your smoothie, you just dump it in and keep it in your fridge for a week. That makes it, really quick in the mornings or on your lunch break, whatever it is. It's definitely helped me out. So.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. The only reason why we didn't do that, we have the frozen banana just because we want to make sure that it stays cold. Otherwise, we could have thrown ice in, but we're going to end up using all of this. Like we have 2 little kids. We're going to end up using all this food as a fresh thing as we go through the week. So there's no point in us freezing all of it together. But
right.
If you do have kids at home and you're trying to make something ahead of time, you can do the same kind of thing with them and put it all together, kind of like Allison was talking about, in a bag, or you can make a large volume. You can you can blend it up. You can put it in a container, put it in your freezer, and then it'll be good for even longer. As long as it's got an airtight seal, you're going to be okay. But you can take that out ahead of time, put it in your refrigerator, like the evening before, take it out of your freezer, put it in the refrigerator. The next morning, we'll let it thaw some, so it's still going to be thick, but it'll still be cool and smooth and good for you.
Right. Yeah. And that makes it super easy, super convenient, really accessible too. And it's cuts down on the noise, because I don't know about you, but I don't like blending a smoothie every single day. It gives me a headache.
Especially in the morning. That's kind of the thing. Like we always laugh about it because we turn off the alarm on our coffee maker. Like it's set to make coffee, and we turn off the sound that it makes just that way like the kids will stay asleep for 5 minutes longer. But that's kind of the thing. You don't want to try and give yourself a headache. Susan was talking about earlier about how loud it was in here. I'm glad it wasn't loud for you, but it definitely was like it echoes a lot in here. So we got to be mindful about noise around here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's sensitive to noise, minimizing that is also something that helps, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Especially like late in the evening, early in the morning. And if you live in like an apartment complex or something like that, you gotta be mindful about your neighbors and stuff. So
Right.
be careful with making really loud noise really early in the morning. I had a roommate one time. I used to I would wake up significantly earlier than she did, and I would go out into the kitchen, and I would usually have my shoes on. And one time she's like, "Can you be quieter in the morning?" Like she like literally opened the door and she was like, "Can you just be quieter?" And I realized it was like my shoes were like hitting the floor, and so if I just didn't put my shoes on in the morning, I could move around in the kitchen. It would be quiet. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how it goes. Be mindful of other people. It's helpful for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryan. Well, any last minute thoughts, advice, comments for our guest tonight? No?
No takers this time. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I said before at the very beginning, if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns, things you want to talk about as far as nutrition and your own health, just go to foodwithstrength.com, connect with us through the contact us page, and we'll talk to you about any of the nutrition questions that you have.
Yes, they are a great resource. We love them. We love them. They're here every month. They are fantastic. And how fun was it to have the littles with us tonight, guys? I mean, come on. All right, everybody. We are going to hop off Facebook here then. Have a great night, and we will see you next time for Food with Strength. Thank you. All right. And